Prom Night IV. Deliver Us from Evil is a 1992 Canadian slasher horror film directed by Clay Boris and starring Nicole Dubor and J.H. Wyman. The film follows a deranged Catholic priest who begins murdering teenagers on their prom night. It is the fourth and final film in the Prom Night franchise. Like the previous film, it was released briefly in theaters before later being released to video. Plot: at Hamilton High School's 1957 prom. The same year Mary Lou Maloney burned to death in the two previous films. Partygoers Lisa and Brad leave the festivities to have sex in Brad's car. Before the two can undress, they are distracted by a noise, revealed to be someone putting candles on the hood of the car. After spotting the candles, Lisa has her throat slashed by a metal crucifix wielded by the Christian Jonas, who also stabs Brad in the chest, afterward disposing of the teens' bodies by blowing up Brad's car. After committing this double homicide, Jonas is transported from a church to another church by the Christian cult led by Yeager, who refers to the rambling Jonas as a good man and believes him possessed by good forces. In 1991 at the church, young Colin is informed by Yeager is in charge with watching over Jonas, who has been captive in the church basement for 33 years in a drug-induced stupor. Shortly after showing Colin the catatonic Jonas, Yeager passes away, officially leaving Colin as Jonas' new guardian. Jonas reveals that he had suffered sexual abuse from priests in the church. Believing he can help Jonas, Colin neglects drugging him, an act which allows Jonas to regain consciousness, escape his bonds and kill Colin by garroting him before taking off to the other church, hitching a ride with a trucker named Dave, who he kills afterward. Discovering Colin's death and Jonas's escape, Tourette makes Colin's murder look like a suicide before going off in search of Jonas at the other, which has long since been abandoned and changed into a summer home. Two young couples, consisting of the summer homeowner's son Mark, his good girlfriend Megan, the mischievous Laura and her boyfriend Jeff, arrive planning to celebrate their graduation privately instead of going to prom, but find most of the electronics and appliances in the house have been stolen. Deciding to stay and still party, the group is stalked by Jonas, who acquires his old metal crucifix and uses it to kill Mark's younger brother Jonathan, who had followed the group to the house and was in the midst of secretly filming Jeff and Laura having sex before being murdered. After injuring herself in the wine cellar, Megan receives an obscene phone call from Jonas while Mark is away getting the first aid kit to tend to her wounds. After calling Megan, Jonas enters the house through his old lair and kills Laura, subsequently moving her body. While looking for the missing Laura, Mark and Megan find Jonas's lair, while Jeff searches the attic, finding what looks like Laura. Jeff approaches the figure, only to find it is Jonas. Jonas proceeds to kill Jeff by crushing the boy's skull with his bare hands. Going outside to look around, Mark and Megan rush back inside when they find Laura and Jeff's bodies crucified and ablaze. As Megan tries to call the police, Mark arms himself with a gun and has Megan flee outside when Jonas appears, rushing to the roof of the house. Mark is stabbed in the foot through the roof by Jonas, causing him to fall to the ground below. After Jonas finishes off Mark by hurling his crucifix into the boy's chest, Megan is stalked through the house by the Christian, who she manages to briefly incapacitate by spraying him in the face with bug spray. Going outside and getting Mark's earlier drop gun, Megan gets bullets from inside and, after being phoned by the police, a call which is interrupted by Jonas, goes to the woodshed outside. After missing several times, Megan manages to shoot Jonas and believes he is dead, only to be attacked by the still-living Jonas, who begins setting the barn on fire. Grabbing a shovel, Megan beats Jonas with it and rushes outside and locks the door, leaving Jonas to burn and subsequently be blown up when the shed explodes. In the morning, Megan is loaded into an ambulance, while the charred and seemingly dead Jonas is placed in another, which is manned by Tourette and his cult. While in the back of the ambulance, Jonas opens his eyes, while elsewhere Megan does the same simultaneously. Cast. Reception. In a retrospective assessment of the film, critic Thomas Wan noted that the film milks in its own way the then-recent but in fact perennial abuse scandals in the Catholic Church. Quote,